So on a more serious note, today is a day for honoring fathers, biological fathers, stepfathers, adoptive fathers, anyone who has served or is serving now in the role of giving and modeling for children the masculine attributes of God, including fatherhood, protection, direction, strength, and independence. And so I invite you to honor all fathers as we pray. Divine Spirit of Fatherhood, we are truly grateful for our fathers and for all the fathers of the world. We see them guided by divine love and expressing divine masculine qualities within their families and within the family of humankind. We take this opportunity to celebrate that God, as Father of us all, is right now filling the open hearts and minds of fathers everywhere with the love, wisdom, courage, and confidence to be the fathers needed by the children of our world. So for these fathers, their openness and their receptivity, we are grateful. It is so, and so it is. Amen. And also today, for 156 years, the Black community has celebrated Juneteenth, a day that marks the end of slavery and the independence of countless enslaved people. A day that sadly came 2.5 years after Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, but at least it finally happened. This holiday, also known as Black Independence Day, isn't widely taught at schools. But this week, we're celebrating this will likely change because on Friday, June 18th, 2001, just 2 days ago, Juneteenth was declared a federal holiday when President Joe Biden signed a bill passed by both the House and Senate, making it so. So I'm delighted to report also that the Board of Trustees of Unity Worldwide Ministries has signed a resolution on diversity, equity, and inclusion to coincide with this year's Juneteenth observation. And part of this document states, we are fully committed to Unity Worldwide Ministries being an ambassador for diversity, equity, and inclusion in our world, and an example through our actions in the Unity movement. And what makes this especially significant in view of is the fact that diversity, equity, and inclusion was a little missing in Unity's early years. So I'm also delighted to report that specific action steps are included to put feet on this resolution where the rubber meets the road. And I've asked Heidi to put a link to the full resolution in this week's newsletter, Unity Santa Fe's Que Pasa. So just take a moment to feel gratitude in our heart for this long overdue resolution and action steps by both Unity and hopefully throughout our country. And so it is. Today's message, Giving Up Victimhood, will support you in thinking of yourself as a practical mystic. This is the 5th of a 7-part series based on Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith's Shift Network course, Tap into Infinite Abundance by Activating Enlightened Prosperity Consciousness. Okay, well, I never get tired of how I'm going to begin this message. No matter how many times I read it or speak it, this particular poem, it just goes deeper, and I hope it goes deeper for you if you've heard it before or if it's the first time. It's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes me forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So my heart's desire for today's message is to support you in walking down another street and giving up victimhood and being a practical mystic where the rubber meets the road. So the human condition that this message addresses is thinking monasteries are only a place occupied by a community of monks living under religious vows. The spiritual solution to that human condition is you monasticizing your life where the rubber meets the road, being a practical mystic, and shifting from victimhood or why me consciousness to victor consciousness. This series, this is the 5th of a 7-part series based on Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith's Shift Network course, Tap into Infinite Abundance by Activating Enlightened Prosperity Consciousness. And Beckwith talks about having abundance and prosperity teachings be such a part of us that they work automatically, effortlessly, as if part of our autonomic nervous system, which is mostly unconscious. So our unconscious ANS controls vital bodily functions such as heart rate, swallowing, breathing, digestion, arousal. So wow, how cool would it be for abundance and prosperity teachings to also operate automatically, effortlessly, unconsciously, no matter what? Beckwith points out that this idea helps us understand the scriptural reference of, before they even ask, I'm already answering. Meaning that there is a flow, there's a broadcast, there is a givingness that is always taking place. And when we know this, and when we live our life like we know this, this is a huge step in moving from victim to victor. Now, when we're in lack consciousness, we are in victimhood. When we're in lack consciousness, why me consciousness, this lie is operating unconsciously, subconsciously, automatically to sabotage us by making us believe something out there has power to make us happy, prosperous, healthy, whole, and complete. And so Beckwith points out that we become victimized by that perception. victimized with anxiety, anxiousness, and worry that creates static in this field of abundant, harmonizing prosperity. So the one presence, the one power that is called by many names, only broadcasts its divine nature. And it is broadcasting itself 24/7. But it's up to you and me to be open and receptive to its signals, to what it is broadcasting, to its prosperity and abundance. It's up to you and me to tune in to its channel instead of tuning into KEGO, our ego channel. You know, when a radio is tuned properly to a particular station, we receive the broadcast clearly. So we have to tune in properly to the divine broadcast that is constantly broadcasting unlimited prosperity and abundance in the form of health, wealth, love, life, and beauty. But as Beckwith points out, we can't catch it if there's static on the line. And that static he's talking about is worry, anxiety, doubt, fear. So that's the channel we're tuned in to when we live as victims. And this isn't about blaming ourselves. Rather, it's about unlearning and dismantling the lies that we have inherited or learned since we came into body from what our Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore calls race consciousness. That's the consciousness of the human race that we are constantly being bombarded by. You know, we've been raised by well-intentioned family members, teachers, neighbors, friends to be worried about things that could hurt us. So we've heard all of our lives, be careful, the stove is hot, don't run into the traffic, you'll get hit by a car. Well, these well-meaning intentionalities are amplified. When they are amplified, they become unwarranted fear and worry. Now, that's not to say that we can disregard the relative word and that we shouldn't take prevalent precautions. You know, that's why we wear seatbelts. That's why we wear facial masks. That's why we look before we cross the street. And that's why we don't touch a hot stove. We know that we have to not only praise Allah, but we have to tie our camel. And we have to be mindful not to buy into unwarranted fear and worry, or let these fears and worries, these practical precautions amplify to a point that they go to that level of unwarranted fear and worry. So Beckwith suggests that we remember when we're living in a field of infinite abundance and we know life is for us, not against us, we create the habit of, wow, what next good thing is trying to happen? We want to be in alignment with what he calls the divine conspiracy. The next great thing that's trying to happen, the next great spiritual impulse that's trying to happen through us, not to us, through us. Not the man-made conspiracy of negativity, the next great negative thing that's about to happen. The up and down of the stock market, the up and down of the economic systems, these are man-made structures that go in flux. But there's something, he points out, that is not in flux. There's something that is eternal and forever. And we are being asked to be a practical mystic, to be in tune with that which is eternal and forever, so that our life demonstrates that. It manifests that. It shows forth the glory and the glow of the eternal divine broadcast. And he urges us, take your life back, and points out, this is the real work. This is the real work, to take our life back, to reclaim the power that we have been given, that is our divine inheritance. You know, I've been teaching unified mindfulness techniques since last November as a certified unified mindfulness level 2 coach. I've studied and practiced other forms of mindfulness for more years than I can remember. But this process, this program, is the one that has taken my meditation practice to such a higher level, and in fact has changed my life. Several of you who have taken one or more of one of my courses have testified to it being life-changing for you as well. And what is so wonderful to me about unified mindfulness is its practicality, where the rubber meets the road. Unity's 5th principle that says, knowing spiritual principle and truth is not enough. We have to live it. And I say, out there, where the rubber meets the road. So the founder of Unified Mindfulness, Shinzen Young, did something similar to what our Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore did. Fillmore did it by gleaning spiritual principles from all the traditions and pulling out the best of all the rest into what we call, Aldous Huxley called, the perennial philosophy. Well, what Shinzen Young did was he brought from many different mindfulness tradition practices, those practices which can be used both on the meditation cushion and off the meditation cushion. Techniques that can be practiced in stillness or in motion. Techniques that can be practiced in the foreground or in the background. And Shinzen encourages his students to monasticize your life, to make life your monastery, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. And I've added, one day at a time, where the rubber meets the road. So why the hell was I being unmindful on Friday, June 11th? And as a result, falling in the parking lot and breaking my right kneecap. Where was my mindfulness practice when I really needed it? Well, I'm happy to say why indeed, instead of why me, right? In terms of why the hell was I being unmindful? One of the many blessings I've gleaned in the past 9 days from the recent unpleasantness. You know, recent unpleasantness is what the people in Charleston, South Carolina call the Civil War. So it's not enough to practice mindfulness based on the acronym that Shinzen created, ION. He says, select a technique based on your interest, whatever opportunity presents itself, or necessity. And while that's a great way to choose which technique to use in a given situation, it doesn't address how to be mindful 24/7, or at least the waking hours of 24/7. In other words, how do we increase the odds of preventing stuff from happening? So this past week, I've put this challenge on the don't know altar. And I've been sitting in the question of, how the hell do I live a mindful life every waking moment? That's the question I've been sitting in. So on Thursday, I was guided from out of the blue to find a reminder app. Duh. So I went to what I call the app store on my iPhone, and I quickly found an app called Mindfulness Bell. Mindfulness Bell. And I promptly downloaded it and set it to ring every 30 minutes between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. And my intention is that it helps me create a habit of being mindful at least that often. And then maybe I'll reset it for every 15 minutes and then every 10 minutes or 5 minutes or every minute until I am doing it automatically. Like Michael Beckwith talks about having these prosperity principles be like the autonomic nervous system. I want my mindfulness practice to be automatic. And you know, I've had 2 bonuses already. First of all, every time I hear a bell ring, I center myself. Wow. And guess what? The second blessing is I'm not drooling when a bell rings. So how do we do this? How do we monasticize our life and get out of victimhood? Well, you know, this is Unity Santa Fe. So the first way, prayer and meditation, and both on and off the meditation cushion. So formal practice is 10 minutes or more when 100% of your attention is on your practice. And that's true whether you're on the meditation cushion or you're in motion, because I can teach you how to meditate when you're walking, when you're exercising, when you're standing in line at the grocery store or whatever, okay? Or we have something in Unified Mindfulness called micro hits. And micro hits are 10 seconds to less than 10 minutes throughout the day. And again, where 100% of your attention is on your practice, all right? And that's 10 seconds. I talked to somebody the other day and I said, you know, I know you're going through a challenge. Have you been practicing your unified mindfulness techniques? And she said, oh, no, I just don't have time. And I said, I have time to practice for 10 seconds? I don't buy it. Well, I don't think it's really that she doesn't have time. I think she's in the same boat I am. I just forget. So I'm going to tell her about the Mindfulness Bell app. So formal practice, 10 minutes or more, informal practice, 10 seconds to less than 10 minutes, wherever you are, whenever during the day. And I really encourage you to get the Mindfulness Bell app and set a reminder for whatever time interval you choose to make this a habit, an automatic positive habit. So your call to action today is to monasticize your life where the rubber meets the road by being a practical mystic, and to, in the process, shift from victimhood, why me consciousness, to victor consciousness. And let's begin experiencing this right now, being one together in a sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite you to stretch up and settle in, relaxing the body, clearing the mind, opening the heart, as I lead you in an amplification of awareness, speaking the words of Michael Beckwith. So I invite you to hear his words through my voice. So when I say I'm really speaking as Michael Beckwith, okay? So in order to amplify our awareness that we're living in this field of abundance, there's a quote I said many years ago. We give to live until we live to give. The law is you keep what you give away vibrationally. Whatever energy you're giving out, you get it first. You keep it. The law is I get to keep what I give away. To amplify and embody the feeling tone of all my needs met, We want to live in an inquiry of what and how can I share today? What and how can I give today? Now, this may bump against the thoughts of lack within us. I don't want to think about giving. I don't have anything. I need to get something. But you get to keep what you give away. If you just ask the question, how can I give today? What can I give today? How can I share today? What can I share today? The universe, by law, will direct you as to what and how you can give. And we're not limited in this to money. It can be as simple as a smile, serving someone, helping someone, blessing someone. Maybe there's a reaction. They are doing this to me. They made me feel this way. Without judgment, just notice where you get caught. That's called identification. Just identifying it. Oh, I got caught yesterday. I was in traffic and the anxiousness came over me. I was going to be late and my mind spun out into people thinking I'm going to be a bad person because I'm late. That's going to mess up the ideal or the deal. You allowed that external circumstance to victimize you into a downward spiral of emotionality, perception, and mental and physical experience. That was an example. You may have your own experience where you identify. After identifying, the second stage is embracing it. Embracing is a compassionate looking at it without judging yourself. Not judging that you got caught. Maybe you reacted. You heard that somebody said something about you. It sent you down a corridor of negativity. Just identify that with compassionate observation. No judgment. Oh, I got caught. You're embracing it. You're just, oh, there it is. I'm embracing it. I've identified it. I'm embracing it. And now once you've embraced it, I want you to take a deep breath. Sustain the breath and feel all of my needs are met as you exhale and release it. You identify. You embrace with compassionate observation. Oh, I got caught. And breathe. All of my needs are met. And you release that into the universe. That's transcendence. You can't transcend what you haven't embraced or mastered. You identified it. Don't blame anyone. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame the traffic, the circumstance, the weather. Don't blame anything coming up. No blaming. It's just identification. Oh, I got caught. I moved into a downward spiral of negativity and fear and worry. The static of fear, the static of worry, the state of anxiousness, the state of anxiety, it caught me for a moment. I'm just observing it with compassionate observation. I've identified, I've embraced it. There it is. There it is. Inhale. Say to yourself, as you exhale, all of my needs are met. Everything is working together for my good. I live in a sea, in a field of abundance. Yes, harmonizing prosperity. Yes, release that truth into your field of energy. And now let's take the amplification of awareness to a deeper level together in several minutes of silence. And as we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, silently say, thank you, divine givingness, for the wisdom to know and the courage to give, to live until I live to give. Thank you, divine givingness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, that it is so and so it is, and so I am. Amen.